Hi everyone, this is Jason, aka Bacon Chest, coach of the Kilda Serperiors, and welcome back to the Brawl for All 3. This is the round of 64 game against Hat and the Portland Trailblazers. So, Hat's team is as follows: Manaphy and Dragonite as their two Z users, and then Skarmory, Crocodile, Jolteon, Nihilego, Balloon, and Mega Absol. So I'm going to be going over the team that I brought, and then we'll get into the game. So, the first few things when I looked at this team were that I didn't want to bring Frostlass because Mega Absol obviously completely shuts it down with that Magic Bounce. It's faster, and obviously being a Dark type, I'm not really going to be able to do much damage to it, even though it is quite frail otherwise. And generally I don't really have many good defensive responses to Dark types, basically Virizion being the only one. So I needed to run a couple of quite specific sets, so I'll actually go into the Heat Ran and the Virizion first. So the Heat Ran here, this was my dedicated lead, expecting the Mega Absol as a lead. And the idea here was that I could get up rocks pretty safely, and the reason for that was that I have EV'd this such that it will not die to a max attack Adamant superpower. Max attack Jolly superpower. Obviously they're going to run Jolly to try and outspeed Tornadus and Frostlass. So yeah, superpower cannot kill me without a crit, and Flamethrower with Charcoal and 252 Modest will knock out a no investment Mega Absol. Very specific set. Earthquake is there to hit Nihilego. Still Oko's a no defense investment set, even with the Modest nature. Toxic was just to try and hit Manaphy on a switch, or something like Crocodile, although Flamethrower is still doing a respectable amount, and yeah. And obviously Stealth Rock to get up hazards. I really needed them in this game. Sash Breloom could have been an issue. Dragonite's multi-scale is obviously an issue. Even just chipping away at Skarmory so that it doesn't have Sturdy was really important. Similarly, Virizion, with 40 defense EVs, is able to live a Play Rough from Mega Absol, and obviously KO's back with Close Combat. I've gone for a choice banded set here. 216 speed allows us to outspeed Nihilego with that Jolly nature. Basically, this set puts in a lot of work on my opponent's team. Leaf Blade hitting Manaphy, Close Combat doing, I think, about 37 to 46 to a defensive Skarmory, Crocodile getting blown back, Jolteon got blown back, Nihilego is one-hit KO'd by Close Combat, which is very important. And obviously Breloom and Mega Absol aren't taking close combats either. We have Stone Edge and Zen Headbutt here. Not expecting to really click them. Stone Edge is obviously there for the Dragonite, which is the only thing I can't really hit effectively, although I'm not expecting Dragonite to be brought. And Zen Headbutt is just in case I get knocked off by the Crocodile. Then obviously I'll be at +1, but I won't have my choice band, so I'll effectively be at the same attack, but it means I can switch up moves. And eases prediction. So I didn't really have any other moves that I really needed, so this was the set that I went for. So let's go back to the start now. Mega Gardevoir puts in a lot of work on this team. With Thunderbolt, it basically has perfect coverage. There's nothing I can't hit. In fact, yeah, I hit pretty much everything super effectively except for Jolteon, which, unless it's Assault Vest, isn't really taking hits. So what I figured was that Gardevoir would probably force some switches, and that's why I'm running Substitute, to try and take advantage of those, and then be able to just pick up free kills, basically. Again, 192 speed, I am not quite sure what that outspeeds, but after Mega Evolution it definitely outspeeds something, but not quite sure at this point. It's been a little while since I played this game, but anyway, moving on to Zapdos. Zapdos is my dedicated check to Z Manaphy, because Z Manaphy was terrifying going into this matchup. I was expecting Z Rain Dance with Tail Glow, Surf, and Energy Ball. Energy Ball obviously hit the Slowbro. I decided not to bring the Slowbro because it's not actually a very good check to Z Manaphy, because after +3, Energy Ball's doing a lot of damage. This thing, however, lives a +3 Surf, does about 60% back with Discharge, which puts Manaphy potentially in E-Speed range if I've gotten a little bit of chip off, and generally allows me to, allows me to potentially KO back after sacking Tornadus with Tailwind if I have to, basically gives me a few options. But yeah, this thing comes in. If it comes in on the Rain Dance, it definitely eats up a hit. Doesn't really matter. But even if it comes in after a Rain Dance, after a Tail Glow, I can still live that hit, guaranteed. I believe even after rocks, or possibly I can't actually remember, but I think it may have done around 75%. So I think like max roll might have killed me after rocks, but that was the plan here. Hidden Power Ground just to be able to do about 50 to 60% to Nihilego. Discharge hits most things. Heat Wave to hit things like the Breloom, and if I wanted to ease prediction on the Skarmory, but obviously I can generally kick Discharge. And U-Turn for the Crocodile was fairly important as well. Onto the Tornadus, again, Hidden Power Ground for the Nihilego. Hurricane hits most of the rest of the team, particularly with the Flynium Z. That's going to put in a lot of work. And Heat Wave for the Skarmory, just to deal a bit of damage to that. Offensive set, again, speed is to outspeed Nihilego. This is a pretty simple set. It's got Tailwind. I love Tornadus with Tailwind. It's been a real like sort of clutch in the back move for me in this tournament. So we'll just keep going with what works. Finally, Zygarde. This is a Yachi Berry Zygarde because with Yachi Berry it lives basically any ice attack. Sets up a DD and outspeeds my opponent's entire team. If I've gotten rid of Skarmory, I can just click Outrage and pick up kills. Otherwise, I can click 1000 Arrows or E-Speed and punch holes. So it'll basically depend on how the game plays out in terms of what I will want to do there. So, let's move on to the game. So as you can see, my opponent brings Dragonite, Breloom, Jolteon, Skarmory, Nihilego, and Manaphy. And this is not quite the team I was expecting. I was definitely expecting to see the Crocodile, and I was definitely expecting to see the Mega Absol. Dark types go ham on my team. Crocodile sets up rocks, which I think would actually have been quite important in this matchup. But yeah, regardless, as I've said already, I'm going to be leading with Heatran. Anyway, I don't really see anything that stops me from getting up rocks, aside from maybe a very fast Breloom. But if he leads Breloom, obviously I can easily switch into Virizion. And so, you know, like I don't necessarily expect that to be his lead. So as you can see, he leads off Nihilego, and I'm thinking, well, okay, this is Hazard's Nihilego, obviously, like, that seems fairly set at this point, so I'm just going to click my Stealth Rocks. I don't really care. I care more about getting up Hazards to stop Dragonite than I do about having Hazards on my side of the field. As you can see, I didn't bring any removal once again in this match. As he sets up a T-Spike, I'm actually really happy with that. Like, T-Spike doesn't affect Heatran, doesn't affect Tornadus, doesn't affect Zapdos. A little bit unfortunate for Zygarde and Zygarde and Gardevoir in that I'm probably not going to be clicking sub now with Gardevoir, and Zygarde will not be able to sweep as effectively, but generally I'm just hoping to like click really powerful moves and take out Pokemon quickly, so I'm not too worried about that. T-Spikes are obviously much more beneficial in a much longer game. He then pulls out the HP ground, and as you can see, my HP investment, which I had for a Mega Absol, actually allows me to live that relatively comfortably. And I just thought, well, I'm just going to click the Earthquake here, and we just take it. That crit did not matter at all. We take out that. Here, I decide to just sack Heatran. I don't really have a particularly good switch in to Breloom. Aside from maybe Virizion, but I didn't really want to weaken Virizion given how much work it puts in on the rest of his team. And Heatran doesn't really put in that much work given it gives Manaphy and even Dragonite really free switch-ins. So I go out to Gardevoir here, Trace the Technician, that's obviously not relevant, and I'm just going to click Hyper Voice because it does a lot of damage, and it doesn't matter because his resist is Skarmory, who takes 44% from that because this thing is ridiculously powerful, and I just clicked T-Bolt. Hat later informed me that he forgot that it got T-Bolt, and I was just like, cool, well, I'm going to take advantage of that. Brings out the Manaphy, goes for the Rain Dance, but the regular Rain Dance, which is nice. This thing, I'm thinking, well, if this thing is offensive, it can't beat my Zapdos. And then I do 38% with Discharge, and he goes for the Toxic, and I'm thinking, oh no, he's bought a defensive set, and I guarantee we're about to see Rest. And yeah, this thing now walls my Zapdos because I'm not running enough offense to be able to 2-hit KO, or even, I think even after the lefties I'm not necessarily going to 3-hit KO. So I'm just going for discharge, trying to get the para. I actually do get the para here, but as you see, it gets the rest off. And I'm just kind of stalling out rain turns at this point. Like, I don't really care too much about the health on my Zapdos now, because it's not going to have to live +3 hits. He goes for an Ice Beam. I think that actually does less than Surf if he has Surf, so I'm not too worried about this. I decide to U-turn out to Virizion, predicting the rest. Now, the funny thing here is that we both actually miscounted rain turns. So the rain stops, and he's stuck with a resting Manaphy, who's going to be resting for 2 more turns. I actually didn't even think about that. I was just thinking, oh, he's going to click rest because he's at the range where he'll get 2-hit KO'd. So we both make an error, yeah. But regardless, I have Virizion in. I mean, it wouldn't have taken much from Ice Beam regardless, because it has such good Spadef, and this thing is not invested offensively. I click Stone Edge here, predicting the Dragonite, because I feel like it's the only switch in to Virizion. As he goes Jolteon and I miss, that's unfortunate. We could have got some really good chip off on that Jolteon. Would have taken it down to probably around 30% or something, depending on its exact investment. He goes for a Wish, and I'm thinking, oh god, it's bulky Jolteon, bulky Manaphy. It's a really weird team. As he just goes for Hidden Power, as I just go for a U-turn. And yeah, now I've seen that Hidden Power Ice, I'm thinking, well, I can set up with Zygarde here on the Hidden Power Ice, and actually he decides to just switch, so I'm just like, oh great, well, I'm just going to go to +1 and put in some work on this team. As he goes for the Mach Punch, gets a crit. Not too fast, doesn't really make a huge difference to my ability to just click Outrage for a while. I was expecting Bandit E-Speed there, or even just at least regular E-Speed, but no, the Dragonite just goes down. And here's where the crit probably did actually matter, is that I click Outrage for the 3rd time, get the Confuse, and go down, where I would have not otherwise, and I would have just taken down this Jolteon, and that would have been game over. But as it stands, I'm still thinking, well, I'm still in a pretty good position here. I actually make an error here and bring out Zapdos, thinking, oh, I'll just get some chip off on this thing, not realizing that Hidden Power Greyhound is actually doing no damage. And so he just kills me with HP Ice, and now he's back at 100 anyway. So yeah, bit of a poor play from me. It didn't really cost me at all, but bit of a poor play regardless. I go to Gardevoir, just thinking I can just click Hyper Voice here. It does a lot of damage to Manaphy, to the point where I'm fairly certain I can click T-Bolt. I actually do click T-Bolt, and that was, again, a misplay there, because he could have gone back into Jolteon, gotten that Volt Absorb, and, I mean, I suppose we would have, and then click Volt Switch again. I actually needed to keep clicking Hyper Voice, because Hyper Voice was always going to 2-hit KO from that point regardless. Manaphy couldn't do anything, because it was resting. So yeah, that was actually a bit of a misplay on my part. Although I suppose he could have had Sleep Talk, although obviously Sleep Talk on a hydration set would have been quite weird. But anyway, so now Jolteon's going to come back out and kill Gardevoir, and I'm left with Virizion and Tornadus. That's fine. Virizion dies to absolutely no hit from a Jolteon, and close combat, if he had a lot of HP and defense investment, might have been a range, but I seriously doubt it. Virizion with Choice Band pulling through. Tornadus didn't even come out in the end, which is kind of funny. I could have brought it out to outspeed the Jolteon, but as it stood, Virizion was fine. And yeah, so we go through to the round of 32, and I'll be uploading that game next. So until next time, peace.